Let me ask you something real, and I want you to answer with honesty, not habit. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you keep ending up in the same place? Like something invisible is pulling you back every time you get momentum? Like you're chasing freedom, but trapped in the same cycle of fear, doubt, procrastination, or just plain survival? That's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to change it. Because here's the truth nobody ever told you clearly enough. You are not your circumstances. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are what you think about repeatedly, relentlessly, unconsciously. Your thoughts are programming your identity every single day. And most people are running on a code they never chose. If you're tired of living beneath your potential, if you're done being at war with yourself, if you're ready to finally break the pattern, then listen to me, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because this isn't just another motivational talk. This is a wake-up call, a rewire, a reboot. And if you stay with me until the end, you won't just be inspired, you'll be armed with the exact mindset tools to reprogram the most powerful force in your life, your mind. Your mind is a battlefield. Every day, every hour, every moment, you're in a war you can't see. And the enemy isn't outside of you. It's not your boss. It's not your bank account. It's not your past or your circumstances. The real enemy is inside. It's the thought that tells you you're not enough. The one that whispers you'll never make it or screams, why even try? And here's the truth most people never realize until it's too late. If you don't learn to master your mind will master you. Most people are living in reaction mode. They're not thinking, they're being thought. They're running on autopilot, trapped in patterns installed years ago by pain, fear, rejection, and failure. They've let the world write their internal code. And that's the real tragedy. Because your thoughts aren't just ideas, they're instructions. And every instruction programs how you feel, what you believe, and ultimately who you become. You can't create a new life with an old mind. You can't step into your potential while your thoughts are dragging you back into your history. So your brain is always listening to you. Every doubt you repeat, every limit you reinforce, your brain hears it and believes it. Every time you say, I'm not ready, your brain codes that as fact. Every time you say, I always mess this up, it builds a deeper neural pathway to keep that story alive. And the more you think it, the more real it becomes. Not because it's truth, but because you trained your brain to think it's truth. So what do? We decide. We interrupt the pattern. We call out the lie and replace it with the truth. Because you don't get a strong mind by wishing for it. You build it through discipline, repetition, and total emotional commitment to a higher standard. You stop feeding your fears and start feeding your future. You stop letting your past define your present and start demanding that your present creates a new future. Listen, life is hard. There's no avoiding pain, setbacks, uncertainty. But if your mind is strong, if your thoughts are aligned with growth, with power, with possibility, nothing can stop you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. Aware of what you're thinking, aware of what you're allowing. Because the battle isn't outside, it's in your head. And when you win there, you win everywhere. So right now, right here, decide, I will no longer be a victim of my own mind. Beliefs shape your life. But here's what most people never stop to question. Your beliefs aren't facts. They're not written in stone. They're just thoughts you've repeated over and over again until they hardened into your identity. That voice in your head that says, I'm not good with money, or I can't lose the weight, or I'm not the kind of person who gets what they want. None of that is truth. It's just conditioning. It's just programming. You've told yourself the same lie so many times, your nervous system accepted it as reality. And if you don't interrupt it, you'll live your entire life trapped inside a story that someone else wrote for you. Maybe it was your parents. Maybe it was a failure you never healed from. Maybe it was a rejection that convinced you you weren't worthy of love, or a disappointment that made you believe you weren't capable. But none of that defines you. The moment you start questioning your beliefs, the moment you realize they're just patterns, not promises, everything begins to shift. See, the mind doesn't care if what you're feeding it is true or not. It just responds to consistency and emotion. If you say something with enough certainty, enough feeling, and you say it often enough, your brain will hardwire it into your identity. That's the power most people never use consciously. They use it destructively. They use it to reinforce pain, doubt, shame. But when you flip that power, when you start repeating thoughts of strength, of faith, of certainty, you begin to reprogram who you are at the core. This is not about fake affirmations or positive thinking that ignores reality. This is about aligning with what's possible, not what's familiar. You've got to stop defending your limits. You've got to stop being loyal to the identity that's keeping you stuck. If a belief is holding you back, it's a lie, period. It doesn't matter how long you've believed it or how many times it's been proven to you in the past. The past does not equal the future unless you drag it with you. You want to change your life? Change what you believe about yourself. Upgrade your internal blueprint. Start telling yourself the truth. The truth that you can change, that you are capable, that your future is not written yet. Because when you change your beliefs, you change your behavior. And when you change your behavior, your results follow. It all begins in the mind. So don't just repeat what's been said to you. Don't keep living in someone else's story. Write your own. Your brain is not fixed. It's not frozen. It's not stuck in who you've been. That's a lie. The world fed you and you bought it. The truth is, your brain is constantly evolving. Science has proven something powerful. Your brain is plastic, not like a toy, but like clay, moldable, shapeable, trainable. That means no matter how long you've been stuck in fear, in procrastination, in self-doubt, you can rewire that. You can literally reprogram the structure of your mind by changing what you consistently focus on, feel, and repeat. But most people never take the driver's seat. They keep replaying the same patterns, and those patterns become who they think they are. You think it's your personality, but it's just practice. If you keep practicing anxiety, your brain wires for anxiety. If you keep practicing negativity, your brain creates shortcuts to find more of it. And if you keep practicing power, focus, confidence, your brain builds highways to those feelings too. You get what you train, period. You don't rise to your potential, you fall to the level of your conditioning. Think about this. Every time you feel an emotion, neurons fire. Every time you repeat a thought, those neurons connect. Over time, those connections become the path of least resistance. That's why the same feelings keep showing up over and over again, because your brain is trying to be efficient. It's doing exactly what it's been trained to do. So if you want to break free, you have to start training it in a new direction. You've got to flood it with repetition, with new associations, with intentional thought and action. You've got to interrupt the old and install the new. That's the real power you have. You don't have to be a slave to your brain. You can teach it. You can teach it to seek out opportunity instead of threat. You can teach it to focus on solutions instead of problems. You can teach it to feel gratitude in the middle of chaos. But don't expect it to happen overnight. This is about discipline, repetition, emotion. That's the formula. Repetition is the mother of mastery. But emotion is the fire that burns it into your nervous system. So don't just think a new thought, feel it, live it. Move your body while you say it. Engage all of you, because the more of your senses you involve, the deeper the wiring goes. You are always training your brain. The question is, are you doing it by design or by default? Because if you're not intentional, your environment, your past, and your pain will do the wiring for you. And you'll wake up one day wondering why you keep ending up in the same emotional state, the same patterns, the same outcomes. But when you become the architect of your mind, you become the author of your life. Whatever you focus on, you feel. That's not a theory. That's how the human nervous system works. Focus is the gateway to emotion. And emotion is what drives every decision, every action, every result in your life. If you want to change the way you feel, if you want to change your habits, your patterns, your destiny, then you've got to change what you're consistently focused on. Because most people aren't living their life, they're living their fears. They're focused on what's missing, on what could go wrong, on who hurt them, on how far they still have to go. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, frustrated, hopeless. But the truth is, nothing outside of you has to change for you to feel different. Your focus is the switch. When you focus on problems, you feel overwhelmed. When you focus on your limitations, you feel small. When you focus on the past, you feel regret. But shift that focus, even slightly, and your emotional state begins to transform. Focus on progress and you feel momentum. Focus on gratitude and you feel abundance. Focus on possibility and you feel power. It's not magic, it's psychology. It's how your brain filters reality. Right now, you're not seeing everything. You're seeing only what you've trained your mind to look for. Your brain is a filtering machine, and whatever you focus on, it finds more of. You focus on negativity, it gives you more reasons to be negative. You focus on growth, it starts pointing out opportunities you couldn't see before. Your life is not shaped by what happens, it's shaped by the meaning you assign to it. And that meaning always flows from focus. And don't confuse attention with focus. They're not the same. Attention gets pulled, focus gets chosen. You can scroll social media all day, pay attention to everybody else's life, and still feel completely empty inside. Or you can take back your mind, take back your attention, and decide what you'll focus on. Focus on what matters. Focus on what's in your control. Focus on where you're going, not where you've been. Because wherever focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, results grow. If you're not where you want to be in life, it's not because you lack talent or potential. It's because your focus has been feeding the wrong fire. You've been energizing your fears instead of your faith. You've been giving your attention to distractions instead of direction. That stops now. Take the wheel. Redirect your focus. Train your mind to obsess over what's possible. And when that becomes your default, not just something you try, but who you are, everything changes. Your mood changes. Your habits change. Your energy explodes. And life starts bending in the direction of your dominant thoughts. Because focus isn't just what you look at, it's what you live from. Words shape your world. And I'm not just talking about the words you speak to others. I'm talking about the words you whisper to yourself in the quiet moments. The inner dialogue that runs like background music in your mind every day. That dialogue has power. It creates emotion. Emotion creates behavior, and behavior creates results. If the language you're using is full of limitation, doubt, and fear, then you're not just talking negatively, you're programming yourself for failure. Most people don't realize it, but they are hypnotizing themselves with their own words. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. This always happens to me. These aren't just casual phrases, they're instructions. Your brain listens, it records, and the more you repeat them, the deeper they dig into your identity. Over time, you don't even question them anymore. You just act them out. You accept them as truth, when in reality, they were just emotional expressions turned into mental shackles. But here's the good news. If words can imprison you, they can also liberate you. If destructive language can build mental chains, empowering language can build wings. It starts with intention. You've got to raise your standard for how you speak to yourself. You can't allow lazy, disempowering words to define your internal experience anymore. You've got to replace I can't with I will. Replace I'm broken with I'm rebuilding. Replace I always fail with I'm learning how to win. This isn't about lying to yourself. This is about choosing words that support the future you're building, not the pain you're escaping. The mind follows language. You shift the language, you shift the mind. And when your language lines up with your highest vision, not your lowest moment, your whole state begins to shift. You stand differently, you breathe differently, you take different actions, you respond instead of react, and over time, that becomes who you are. When your words are powerful, your emotions follow. Speak in a way that generates certainty, conviction, hunger. Stop telling yourself the story of your limitations and start telling the story of your rise. Start speaking like someone who expects to win, who knows their value, who leads their life with purpose. Every time you speak with strength, you reinforce strength. And over time, your brain starts to believe it, not because it's magic, but because repetition and emotion drive neural change. Language is the code to your internal operating system. And if you keep typing in the same broken commands, you're going to keep getting the same broken results. But you have the power to write new commands. You can speak life. You can speak growth. You can speak transformation. Your words are not just sounds, they're seeds. Plant them with intention, water them with belief, and soon your life will reflect the power of the language you've chosen to live by, because when you change your words, you change your wiring. Change doesn't happen because you want it. It happens because you condition it. And that means repetition, not one breakthrough moment, not one great idea or one big burst of motivation. Real transformation, the kind that rewires how you think, feel, act, it's born in what you do consistently, not occasionally. Most people get inspired for a day, maybe a week. They say things like, I'm going to change. This time will be different. But then they fall right back into old habits. Why? Because they never committed to repetition. They never gave their mind enough intensity and consistency to install something new. If you go to the gym once, nothing happens. You don't walk out with a six-pack. Why? Because change isn't built in moments, it's built in motion. Daily effort, daily reinforcement. The same is true for your mind. You want to reprogram it? Then feed it something new every single day. Feed it new thoughts, new language, new emotions, new focus. And don't just do it when you feel like it. Do it especially when you don't. Because that's when the old wiring is screaming the loudest. That's when your brain wants to retreat to comfort, to habit, to autopilot. But repetition, conscious, deliberate, emotional repetition, breaks the pattern and installs the new one. The truth is, your mind will believe anything you tell it if you say it often enough and with enough emotional intensity. So stop waiting for confidence to show up on its own. Stop waiting for clarity, for motivation, for momentum. Create it, build it, condition it, and do it every single day like your life depends on it, because it does. Your outcomes will always reflect the quality of your inner conditioning. What you rehearse, you become. Start rehearsing power. Start rehearsing focus. Start rehearsing who you want to be until it becomes who you are. Look, this isn't about perfection. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about consistency. It's about showing up and doing the reps even when it's hard, even when your emotions are low, even when your environment is against you. Because your brain doesn't change through information. It changes through immersion. Repetition is how you rewire. You want a new identity? You want to become the strongest version of yourself? Then flood your mind daily. Create a ritual. Prime your focus. Move your body. Speak life. And do it again and again and again until there's no room left for the old version of you. If you're serious about reprogramming your mind, you've got to go beyond hype. You've got to make it a lifestyle. And that means commitment to the process, not just the promise. Because when repetition becomes your standard, transformation becomes your identity.